Did you know that one of the most popular things to do today with an old wedding dress isn't just making teddy bears and quilts? I'm going to show you 3 ideas on what you can do to a wedding dress so that it can be worn in a more modern context other than just the ceremony. For the dresses featured today, I'm not going to show you all the nitty-gritty details, but my aim is just to get your creative juices flowing so that you can come up with ideas and kind of know how you can change these dresses so that they can be worn. For each dress, I'm going to show you, number 1, the concept of my client. Number 2, the dress that was actually brought to me. Number 3, what I did to kind of achieve what my client was dreaming. Number 4, my client in the dress and compared with the original dress. It's kind of fun. So watch each section so you can see how each dress turned out. And let me know in the comments which one is your favorite. So the first dress we're going to be looking at is my client's mother's dress. On this dress, we're going to go through just a little bit more detail than I do on the others because there's some things that I'm thinking that you might want to see. So this photo is the general idea of what my client wanted. You can see it's short and sassy and it's very wide at the hem. Now here's the dress that was brought to me. You'll see that the original was already strapless, which was good, but I could see that we would need to build in some circumference around the skirt edge to give it some of that twirl power. So I'm going to put our concept dress back up here in the corner. We can see that it's a nice A-line, and it's hard to see in the client dress, but there is a kind of a tulip overlap in the front. So here's where I need to hem it at. And you can see that there are all these pickups that are built in to the back. That's how the factory had it. Lots of poof, lots of tooling in the back, but yeah, we're gonna get a lot of length off the back that I think we can utilize. Here's the overlap in the front. The first step in this project is going to get rid of all that length. It's gonna just get in the way. So I marked where I wanted the final hem to be, and I just cut some distance below that off of the bottom of the dress. Of course, that includes cutting off all that extra tooling, all that extra fluff, the layers of lining, and get it out of the way. I'm gonna even up that length later. Once the extra length is cut off, I will see how much usable fabric that I have, and I made some godets to put in the seam line to give it fullness at the bottom. I'll explain what a godet is in a minute in case you don't know. I did have to add godets in the side front where there actually weren't any seams, but I covered up the top with little appliques that came off of the dress so you couldn't see that they didn't actually grow out of a seam line like all the rest of them did. And the reason that I added those there is because I didn't want the dress to be just flat on the front and then full in the back. I wanted to be able to have some more fullness in the front as much as possible. So what is a godet, you ask? Many of you already know, but some might not be quite familiar with this term and what it is. So a godet is simply a triangular shaped bit of fabric that is insetted into a seam line to create fullness in the bottom. Here's a skirt photo that shows exactly, very clearly what a godet is. So I'm just showing here how I sewed the godet in. I started from the bottom, went to the top, cut the stitching there, and then restarted a new stitching line back to the bottom, making sure that everything lined up very nicely. So when I'm showing you how I did this, if you like this kind of content, consider clicking the like button and subscribe so that you don't lose track of me. Also in my description, I give a list of Amazon links for items that I really actually use in my studio. I do get a small commission if you use any of these links, which helps to encourage my channel. Of course, some of these items you can find elsewhere, but at least you have the name of what I actually use and you can just go find the best place for you to get that item if you're interested. When all the godets were set in, I was able to finish all the details such as the hemming, the reapplying the appliques. I hemmed the lining separately from the outer layers, which wasn't how it was originally made because it just made it easier for that overlap. I kept part of the netting layer underneath just to give it a little bit of volume. And when I do a project like this, I'm always holding my breath for that final fitting. And in my fitting room, it's just such a relief to have my client smile and to be so happy that it's exactly what she wanted. So I can exhale now. And here's just a few photos of her surprising her mother, who incidentally didn't know that she had absconded with her dress to do this. And anyway, this was her bridal shower. Her mother was so happy to tears. It's fun to see the side by side of mother and daughter wearing the dresses, which of course course, heavily photoshopped, but I just had to do it so you can see them together, the original dress and the new updated version. So tell me in the comments below if you like this. Moving on to dress number 2. This dress was worn for our first marriage long ago and was to be upcycled to wear to an unrelated type of event, but with a nod to what once was, but was no more. And here is the vision that my client had for what she wanted done with the dress. And we'll see again that it's a shorter, somewhat sassy dress with an overlap in the front once again. Now here's the dress that we have to work with. This is a true blue 1990s, if a little is good, then a lot is better, with lots of poof, the super puffiest sleeves that you have ever seen, enough to make Anne of Green Gables so proud. Lots of ruffles and gathers on this baby. Take a look at the ruffled lace on that train. This went all the way around the dress, by the way, and here is my client in the dress as we try to figure out what would be doable and what wouldn't. A sleeveless idea was what she really wanted, and turns out that was something very doable. So I unattached those monstrous sleeves, and we're just having a little bit of fun here using the sleeves as a bonnet. So anyway, we just put them away and took a look at what kind of neckline could we do. So sleeveless was very doable, like I said, with the plan of putting in lots of boning reinforcement, which worked really well as we added a corset lace-up back, which obviously was not something that they did back in the 90s. The corset lace-up was very helpful for any adjusting in size that needed to happen. The next thing that we needed to design out of the original was that pointed waist. We needed it to go straight across. My client's waist was actually a lot higher than the dress was. This is how much needed to be removed from the bodice section where that point is and make it straight across so that it actually would be more flattering and go along well with what we were doing with the skirt. And because we were making the bodice straight across, we also needed to redesign the skirt because you can't put a V into a straight bodice. It doesn't fit in right. So we needed the skirt to be straight across the bottom so it would match, kind of like a puzzle piece. So we decided to have it sweep a little bit lower in the back than I have in that concept photo, and we preserved some of the decoration that was at the top of the train with some of those ruffles, so we left those in. Here's a peek at the back before we attached some of the original ruffles, which we ended up stopping at the center back. So when we did that tulip overlap, we ran the ruffles that were originally on the train up just one side, from the waist down just one side, and went all the way around and stopped at center back where that triangle of ruffles was, because it was just too much to bring it all the way around to the other side and look right. So just having ruffles down the one side was actually a really good call. We didn't want too much of a good thing. It's no longer the 90s. Our final outcome was a lovely sassy dress, which was meant to be worn over a black lace petticoat, as you can see right here. Her smile says it all. And now her old wedding dress has been repurposed to be used at other events. I'm very happy to have been able to create the vision that she had for this dress with puffier sleeves than even Anne of Green Gable could have imagined, but those are now gone. Do you see the similar thread of what gals are wanting nowadays? They're wanting that shorter, sassier dress with a little bit of fullness. So let's get on to dress number 3. This dress also was the mother's. So once again, I'm going to use the vision for the first dress for the vision for this dress. Also, same idea. My client wanted it to be short and twirly to be used at her wedding rehearsal. This would be the first time her mother would see the dress repurposed. She knew it was going to happen, but didn't know what was going to be done with it. This is the photo of the original dress worn by the original owner. And I'm sorry for the fuzzy photo quality. This was actually a photo of a photo, but that is a detachable train and a very, very nicely put together dress. And again, this dress was to be used as a surprise for her mom to see for the first time on the rehearsal night. It was a very beautiful and unique Demetrios brand dress. The bodice, it looked like it was separate, like it was worn over a skirt, but it wasn't. It was like a layer that was still attached but looked separate, heavily beaded, long detachable train, which gave us a fun idea to use that train still on the shorter version of the dress as an option. So take note of all this beading. It was exquisite, and it was directly beaded onto the dress. It was not on appliques. It was on the satin, and the pattern spanned those seam lines, and that was something I was not willing to pick out and try to replicate. A, it was exquisite. B, my hands would hate me. The time involved would have been way longer than we had. Plus the continuity of the beadwork over those seams would have just messed up the image. So this dress was already determined we could not hem it from the bottom. We needed to hem it from the waist. Like the last dress, there was a V in front, probably from the same time period without the poof. But the good thing was the bodice had an overlay that lapped over the skirt, so we could leave the bodice with its V and just straighten out the waist seam beneath that separate bodice portion. The only way to get all the fullness from that voluminous skirt was to create very deep pleats, which would lay flatter than gathering. So that's what we did. We pleated it all the way around in even pleats. It really seemed to be the best option. I think we got a good result. You can see in this close-up, it gives a better visual of how the bodice overlapped the skirt. It was good that the train was separate because I was able to shorten the dress all the way around without any fuss from the train and having to figure out the length of the train and stuff. So once all that was done, I put those attachment points back onto the dress that the train could be hooked onto if she wanted to use it for the rehearsal but then take it off for the dinner. You can see in the mirror the short front of the dress and yet the longer back of the train. And once again, holding my breath, as always. I think it's fair to say that she was thrilled, and so was I. I've got several pictures of this cutie, and I can say that because she's my niece. And here's the comparison of the before and after, with her mom, my sister, wearing her dress, and then now my niece wearing the new version of the dress. And let me know what you think of this. Does it give you any ideas of something maybe you would like to do for an upcycle of some kind of dress? These 3 dresses, all unique in their own ways, will hopefully inspire you on ideas for remaking a wedding dress or even a formal dress of any kind. Hopefully I've got your wheels turning on ideas that you can use. I hope you found value in this video, and you might be interested in checking out my formals playlist, which also has how to hem chiffon, all kinds of stuff that you might find very useful for your next project. I will see you next time.